Tonight, as the world slowly becomes silent, let your mind relax, let your breathing soften, and journey into one of the most emotional and powerful moments in the Mahabharata. A moment of helplessness, betrayal, faith, and divine protection. This is the story of Draupadi and the night when Lord Krishna protected her when the entire world failed her. Long before the great war of Kurukshetra, before kingdoms burned, before conch shells echoed across battlefields, there existed a royal court filled with pride, jealousy, ambition, and hidden darkness. The Pandavas had built a magnificent kingdom at Indraprastha. Their palace was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Created by Maya, the celestial architect, the palace shimmered with illusion and beauty. Floors looked like water. Water looked like crystal floors. Light reflected endlessly through jewelled halls. Kings and sages from distant lands came to witness its greatness, and among them stood Duryodhana, the prince of the Kauravas, a man consumed by comparison, consumed by jealousy, consumed by the unbearable pain of watching the Pandavas prosper. As he wandered through the magical palace, he mistook water for polished crystal, and crystal for water. He stumbled, and laughter echoed through the halls. That laughter entered Duryodhana's heart like poison. From that moment, his jealousy transformed into hatred, and hatred soon became a plan. Far away in Hastinapura, Duryodhana sat with his uncle Shakuni, a man known for cunning intelligence and manipulation. Shakuni understood something dangerous about human beings, that even wise people can fall when desire clouds the mind. And so he suggested a game of dice, simple on the surface, but catastrophic beneath it, because Shakuni was a master gambler, and Yudhishthir, the eldest Pandava, had one weakness. He could never refuse a royal invitation to gamble. The invitation arrived, the Pandavas accepted, and soon the royal assembly hall of Hastinapura filled with kings, elders, warriors and spectators. Bhishma was there, Drona was there, Vidur was there, Dhritarashtra sat upon the throne, and in the centre of it all sat Yudhishthira, across from Shakuni. The dice began to roll. At first the game seemed ordinary. Jewels were wagered, gold was lost, treasures disappeared. But slowly the stakes became darker. Yudhishthira lost his wealth, then his kingdom, then his armies. Yet the game continued. Like a man trapped within illusion, he kept playing. One by one, he gambled away his brothers, Nakul, Sahadev, Arjun, Bhishma, and each time, Shakuni won. The court watched silently, some disturbed, some amused, some helpless, yet no one stopped it. Then came the moment that changed the destiny of Bharat forever. Duryodhana looked toward Yudhishthira and asked, "Have you truly lost everything?" And then he spoke Draupadi's name, the queen of the Pandavas, the empress of Indraprastha, the woman born from sacred fire itself. Yudhishthira, lost in the madness of the game, placed Draupadi at stake, and he lost again. Silence spread through the royal court, heavy, cold, unnatural, because even those who supported the Kauravas understood a terrible line had now been crossed. In her chambers, Draupadi knew nothing of what had happened. She sat peacefully, unaware that destiny was approaching her like a storm. A messenger arrived. He spoke trembling words. "You have been lost in the dice game." Draupadi stared in disbelief. How could a husband who had already lost himself still possess the right to wager her? Her question was profound, powerful, terrifying, and no one in the court could answer it clearly. Draupadi refused to come. Enraged, Duryodhana ordered his brother Dushasan to bring her by force. And then, one of the darkest moments in the Mahabharata unfolded. Dushasan entered Draupadi's chambers violently, ignoring dignity, ignoring dharma, ignoring humanity itself. He dragged Draupadi into the royal assembly by her hair, the queen of the Pandavas, dragged before kings and elders. Her heart burned with pain, but even in that moment, she did not collapse. She questioned the assembly. She questioned Dharma itself. She asked, "If Yudhishthira lost himself first, how could he still wager me afterward?" Again, silence. Bhishma remained silent. Drona remained silent. The warriors remained silent. The court of Hastinapura, filled with the greatest men of that age, could not protect one woman. Only Vikarna, one of the Kaurava brothers, spoke against the injustice. But his voice was drowned beneath arrogance and cruelty.
Duryodhana smiled with pride. Kern mocked Draupadi. And then Dushasana moved toward her again, this time with horrifying intent, to disrobe her publicly before the entire court. The atmosphere changed. Even the heavens seemed to tremble. Draupadi looked around desperately, at her husbands, at the elders, at the kings. No one moved. No one stopped it. And slowly, something inside her changed. Until that moment, she had tried to protect herself. But now, she realized human help had ended. And so, with tears in her eyes, she closed them and surrendered completely. Not to the court, not to fate, but to Krishna. "O Krishna, O protector of devotees, O Govinda, save me." In that moment, her prayer was no longer ritual. It became surrender, pure, absolute, complete. And according to devotional traditions of the Mahabharata, that was the moment Krishna intervened. As Dushasana pulled at Draupadi's sari, the cloth did not end. Layer after layer appeared endlessly. The more he pulled, the more fabric emerged. The royal court watched in shock. The impossible unfolded before their eyes. Dushasana continued pulling until exhaustion consumed him. Yet Draupadi remained clothed, protected by divine grace. And somewhere far away, Krishna knew, because true surrender reaches the divine instantly. This moment became one of the deepest spiritual symbols in Indian tradition. Not merely because Krishna performed a miracle, but because Draupadi finally let go of ego, fear, and control. And in complete surrender, grace entered. The court shook with fear. Bhima rose in rage and vowed terrible revenge upon Dushasana. Vidura condemned the injustice openly. Dark omens appeared throughout the palace. Even Dhritarashtra became afraid, because Adharma had now crossed its limit. And fearfully, he offered Draupadi boons to calm the destruction that was unfolding. Yet even then, Draupadi asked not for revenge, not for wealth, not for punishment. She asked for the freedom of her husbands. This revealed her greatness. Even in humiliation, she chose compassion over hatred. But destiny had already changed forever. The seeds of Kurukshetra had been planted. The silence of the elders, the arrogance of the Kauravas, and the suffering of Draupadi would eventually lead to war. Because when injustice becomes normalized, destruction always follows. Yet tonight, this story is not about war. It is about protection, about faith, about the mysterious moment when Krishna answered surrender. Many traditions of the Mahabharata emphasize that Krishna was not physically present in the court during the dice game. Some texts describe him away in another battle. Yet devotional traditions deeply preserve the belief that Draupadi's call reached him instantly and divine grace protected her honor. And perhaps that is the deeper message. The divine may not always appear visibly, but sincere surrender is never unheard. Now, as your breathing becomes softer, reflect upon Draupadi's moment. How often do humans struggle alone, trying to control everything, trying to protect themselves through fear, through anxiety, through resistance, until finally they surrender. And strangely, peace enters only then. Krishna's protection did not come when Draupadi argued. It came when she surrendered fully. This is why the story continues to comfort millions even today, because everyone experiences moments where the world feels silent, help feels distant, and the heart feels abandoned. And this story whispers gently, "You are not alone."
Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, let the burden leave your mind. Let your worries soften. Like Draupadi, release what you cannot control. And perhaps somewhere beyond thought, beyond fear, divine grace is already moving silently toward you. Imagine Krishna now, standing beneath moonlight, calm, compassionate, peaceful, the protector not merely of kingdoms, but of hearts. And imagine surrendering your fears into his presence, your overthinking, your sadness, your anxieties about tomorrow. Let them go slowly. The night becomes quieter. The palace of Hastinapura fades away. The sounds of the dice disappear. Only silence remains. And somewhere within that silence, the sacred name of Krishna echoes gently. Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. May your heart become peaceful tonight. May your mind become lighter. May divine protection surround your sleep. And may the story of Draupadi remind you always that sincere faith is never abandoned. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mam. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mam. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mam. Good night.